Welcome to the MrpTech podcast. This is episode 19. My name is Matt, and this is a weekly podcast where I review multiple platforms and technologies to see which works best for you. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the Windows 10 anniversary update. And for most of you that have listened to this podcast, you know I've covered a wide range of different topics. And a few weeks ago, I covered upgrading from Windows 7 to Windows 10. And I mentioned that the free upgrade from Windows 7 to Windows 10 is ending on July 29th, the 1-year anniversary of the release of Windows 10. So if you are still thinking about upgrading from Windows 7 to Windows 10, you have a few weeks left as of the recording of this podcast, which is July 13th, 2016. For some people, it's a right decision. For some people, it's not the right decision. And first off, I want to sort of apologize. I didn't have an episode last week. And the reason for that is because I was working on sort of a side project that I got carried away with, which makes this episode a little more informative. So to start off, this project that I got involved with is I was given an old laptop to test and to work with for these podcasts. There's an HP DV6 laptop, probably from about 2012. And it had Windows 7 installed on it, although it wasn't really working correctly. My original intention for this old laptop was for testing purposes for various things that I want to do here in this podcast. And what I ultimately decided to do for the time being, before I really got carried away, was I wanted to try a few things that I've talked about in this podcast. So first of all, I restored the laptop to a fresh install of Windows 7 to make this laptop a working laptop. And then what I did is I did a system image or a clone of the entire hard drive. And this way, once I was done testing on this laptop, I could put Windows 7 back on it and I wouldn't have any problems. So then I proceeded to upgrade to Windows 10 on this laptop. And the upgrade went flawlessly. There was no problems at all with this update. And then I cloned the laptop again. And the reason I did this was for various reasons. And here's the reason why I did this. I wanted the ability to, after I upgraded to Windows 10, to roll back my device to Windows 7 if I wanted to and if I chose to do that. And Windows 10 does give you the option within the first 30 days to roll back to Windows 7 if you don't like Windows 10. But I've known a few cases where that didn't work correctly. And if really you're not sure about upgrading to Windows 10, one of the things that you can do is image your hard drive so that you can roll back and just reinstall Windows 7 if you don't like Windows 10. So now with this old laptop, I have an option. I can go back to Windows 7 at some point if I choose to. For some reason, if I want to review something on Windows 7, I can do that. But I also wanted to make sure that I got the Windows 10 digital entitlement license. And that means that if I wanted to at some point in time now, I can reinstall Windows 10 on this laptop and I won't have any problems with activating the license. So there are some of you that may have newer computers that might want to get this digital entitlement license and just have it and still have your Windows 7. And Windows 7 is supported for several more years. But then when you're ready, you could update to Windows 10 in the future. Now, the reason why I want to make this point about upgrading to Windows 7. Not only the deadline is the 29th of July, but on August 2nd, there's something coming out called the Windows 10 Anniversary Update. Now, what is this? The Anniversary Update isn't just a normal update that you would receive on a Tuesday from Microsoft. This is the continuation of Microsoft saying that Windows 10 will be the last release of Windows and that they are going to continuously update it from now on. Now, to say forever is I think an exaggeration, but Windows 10 is going to be around for a long time. And this update is more than just an update. It's more than just a typical service pack from Windows. This is almost a brand new operating system under the name Windows 10. It's giving more features and functionality to Windows. Now, the anniversary update will supposedly help people be more productive. It'll help you stay safer online. They claim to be more secure. And of course, it's claiming to be more fun. So let's talk about some of the features of Windows 10 Anniversary Update. So Windows 10 includes built-in security features to help you keep more secure. It is one of the more secure versions of Windows. It's still not completely secure, but it's better. And there are more improvements to Windows Defender. It's a free anti-malware service that is installed on all Windows 10 computers in an attempt to make your devices more secure. With the increasing amount of cyber attacks happening with loss of data and loss of personal information online, this is Microsoft's attempt to thwart cyber attacks. Another update for the anniversary update is Windows Ink. And the claim for Windows Ink here is if you have a Microsoft Surface or a Surface Pro or a Surface Book, Windows Ink is a way to quickly and easily take a note or sketch on a screenshot or draw an idea on touch-compatible Windows 10 devices. So it's a new feature that they're making the connection with a pen and your computer to give you more options in what a lot of people do every day, which is take notes or draw pictures or take pictures of whiteboards, that type of thing. It's giving you an additional piece of functionality that you may not have had before or to a limited extent. Another big update to Windows 10 is Cortana. So now Cortana is going to be available on your lock screen, so you can ask questions or play music or set a reminder on your device without having to go through and unlock your device. Cortana will be able to save and recall information, so it can remind you where you're parked at an airport, or you can also add photos and make your reminders more visual. And Cortana can now notify you through many different apps in the Windows App Store. So Cortana is becoming a little more powerful with this anniversary update. So Microsoft Edge is also becoming more powerful. The web browser becoming more stable, giving you more options in what you can do, including modern web standards like HTML5. And Windows 10 is also becoming a more gamer-centric operating system with the release of DirectX 12 coming out. Another new addition to Windows 10 Anniversary Update is the Windows Hello feature. This is where you can unlock your computer simply by tapping your Windows Hello enabled phone, and it will give you access to any apps or protected websites that you have and be able to unlock your computer from your phone. It's an attempt to get rid of passwords. So there are a lot of new features coming out in this update to Windows 10 on August 2nd. So in the second half of this podcast, what I want to talk about is how would you clone your drive if you're not sure about keeping Windows 10. So the first thing that I want you to do is back up all of your files. Put them on a USB drive or a hard drive or something in case something goes wrong. Now the imaging software that I like to use is actually an open source piece of software called Clonezilla. And Clonezilla you can find at clonezilla.org, Clonezilla, Zilla.org. And it's a partition and disk imaging program. It's similar to True Image or Norton Ghost. And it helps you do system deployment or like a bare metal backup and recovery. So what it's going to do is it's going to take every file, every piece of data, your operating system, anything that's on your hard drive, and you can back it up to an external hard drive if you want to. I have used Clonezilla many times, and not once have I had a problem with it at all. So after you download Clonezilla from Clonezilla's website, make sure you choose 32-bit or 64-bit. You're going to need to put it on a flash drive, and the program that I recommend to do that is called Etcher, Etcher, and it is available for Windows or Mac or Linux. And basically, you open up Etcher, you pick the file that you downloaded, you pick the USB drive that you want to install it on, and you install it to that USB drive. Then you're going to boot Clonezilla up. You're going to pick your language, whatever language it is, and then it's going to ask you if you want to change your key map, and that's just the way your keyboard is set up. So I usually select Don't Touch Key Map. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to start Clonezilla, and what you will come up with is a screen that says, where would you like to work with, Clonezilla to work with? So I usually will pick, I want to work with disk or partitions, and that way it tells Clonezilla that you want to work with the disks on your computer. The next thing it's going to ask you to do is, where do you want to save this Clonezilla file? Now this is where you need to be very careful, because you don't want to select your computer's hard drive. You want to select your external hard drive. Where do you want your file to be saved? So it's asking you, where do you want to assign the Clonezilla image? Where do you want to put the Clonezilla image? So after making sure you choose the local device, what it is you're going to hit enter, and then it's going to scan your computer for all the hard drives on your computer. And you want to make sure when it asks you to, where do you want to save the image, you want to make sure to save it on that external hard drive that you have plugged in. That's a little confusing. That's the most confusing part about it. So once you get past that point, then it's going to ask you to create a directory, and you basically just keep all of the default settings for the most part and follow the prompts, and you hit enter. And for the most part, I always use the beginner mode on this and basically just keep all the default options, and you really can't go wrong with Clonezilla as long as you read carefully when you do that. So when you want to save your entire hard drive, you're going to select Save Disk, and you're going to save the local disk as an image. And that's going to compress all the files and that are on your hard drive and save them in a specific file on another hard drive. So in this case, I picked, it asked me to name the file, and I usually will name it whatever operating system I'm using and the specific computer that I'm using and the date, so that I know exactly what backup I'm dealing with. So if I've backed up my computer more times, I can keep it current with the actual date. So then it's going to ask you, which disk do you want to clone or image? And select that disk. Usually it's the one that you have Windows installed on. It's going to be the hard drive that's installed on your computer. The next thing it asks is, do you want to check for system file errors? And you can, or you can skip that if you would like to. And finally it says, would you like to check the saved image? After it goes through and saves this image, do you want to check it for errors? And I suggest that you keep the default and just do that. You can even choose to encrypt this file so that no one else can gain access to this file. And by adding encryptions, you would enter a password the next time that you tried to reinstall from this image. So as you're making a clone, you can always go back and reinstall in case your computer has any problems. So this is a full system backup of all of your files and your operating system from your computer. So then it runs and it does its thing, and it'll probably take a while. It'll probably take anywhere from 20 minutes to 40 minutes, depending on how big your hard drive is and how many files you have. And it just runs and runs and runs until all of the different partitions on your hard drive are copied, and then your disk image is created. It will then go through and check to make sure that the image was created correctly. And then you're completely backed up. Now, this may seem confusing, but it's really easy if you go step by step and you read carefully. There are tutorials on YouTube, and I may actually do a tutorial in the future about how to back up your files, how to clone your files. It is really easy. It's a step-by-step process that makes it very easy to refresh your system if you needed to in the future. So let's say I upgrade to Windows 10 and I absolutely hate it. If I have a clone of Windows 7, then I can just take Clonezilla again. I can install it, and instead of saving disks, I can restore a disk, and I pick that image that I saved on my external hard drive, and it will reinstall Windows with all of my files that I had at the time onto my computer. It is a great feature for backing up software if you don't want to back up your software in the cloud. And I highly recommend it to anybody who's interested in backing up. And so if you have questions on this, if you've never used Clonezilla, I would be happy to help you out. Send me an email. It's MrpTechReviews@gmail.com. You can also check out my Facebook page. That's where I post lots of interesting things from time to time that I come across during the week that I don't want to necessarily create a whole podcast on. And I would appreciate some feedback. If you are upgrading to Windows 10, let me know. If you're not going to upgrade to Windows 10, let me know that too. If you have any questions or you're not sure about something, send it my way, and really could make this a two-way conversation between my listeners and myself. So I have a few machines I will be upgrading to the anniversary edition of Windows 10 on August 2nd. We'll test it out. We'll see how it goes, and I'll report back to what I think and if I have any issues with that upgrade. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.